this is what theaters look like across the world, and it just keeps getting worse. The memes. Let's say that you were in a Hollywood movie, and the trailer for that movie dropped on YouTube, and it instantly became the #1 most downvoted trailer in the history of the platform.
See the other side. What's the dwarf?
Dwarf refers to a person with one of several varieties of a specific genetic condition called dwarfism. A dwarf has disproportionate body.
From the moment the live-action adaptation of Snow White was announced, it carried both the potential for a major triumph and the risk of significant backlash. Disney had long depended on its iconic animated catalog to inspire new cinematic projects, leveraging audience nostalgia alongside the appeal of modern storytelling. However, as soon as details about the film's production emerged, many fans and commentators felt that something was amiss.
It was so outdated, and how Rachel Zegler disrespected the original, and a classic from Walt Disney, something that completely saved Disney and changed the company and changed animation in general.
They noticed significant deviations from what had made the original Snow White a cherished classic, and feared that a rushed attempt to modernize the story for contemporary audiences might spark more controversy than enthusiasm. By the time the movie finally premiered, these concerns seemed justified. The box office numbers were disappointingly low, and critics, both traditional and online, were harsh in their evaluation of the final product.
And now, as Disney desperately tried to do a PR spin job in the final months to make it look like Rachel Zegler is actually likable, it ultimately was a complete failure.
Disney CEO Bob Iger, who had returned to the company after a previous retirement, was already facing a series of challenges by the time Snow White was released. Attendance at Disney's theme parks was not as strong as in previous years. Certain streaming ventures were experiencing financial losses, and critics were growing increasingly outspoken about the studio's creative choices. Amid this turbulence, the new film debuted, featuring well-known stars Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot in leading roles.
She continued celebrating herself by posting that she's in the #1 movie in the world, which is a remarkable thing to post when you are the laughingstock of an entire industry. This is what narcissism looks like. Narcissism for 200.
Disney likely aimed to recapture the magic of the 1937 classic in a way that would appeal to younger audiences while still respecting the essence of the original. However, the release was quickly labeled a box office failure, an unfortunate fate for a property that had long represented one of Disney's earliest and most enduring achievements in animation.
Theaters are, of course, entirely empty. Do understand that having people buy tickets is an important part of success in your industry.
Much of the controversy surrounding Snow White stemmed from sharp criticism of how the film handled key plot and character elements. While some audiences appreciate and even welcome creative reinterpretations, many felt that this adaptation strayed too far from the fairy tale's core identity. The depiction of the dwarfs, the princess's characterization, and even the story's setting underwent changes that left devoted fans feeling confused or outright frustrated.
And it is actually so bad that Rachel Zegler decided to post a video of herself in a theater. I think she bought that ticket right there.
Beyond those changes, the film failed to impress from a technical standpoint, with critics highlighting uninspired direction, lackluster cinematography, and an overall sense that the production was uncertain about its own tone and message. At the center of the controversy was Rachel Zegler, who had already gained recognition through previous high-profile roles, but Snow White placed her under a level of scrutiny she had not faced before.
Decided to film herself in a theater totally empty, giggling, tee-hee-heeing with total glee.
The scale of the backlash appeared to take everyone by surprise, leading to a series of consequences for Zegler's career. Multiple insiders claimed that Disney removed her from future roles, including a voice part in Toy Story 5, where she had reportedly been codenamed Spiral. There were also rumors that she had initially been cast in a planned Pirates of the Caribbean reboot, only to be dropped before the project could fully take shape.
Look at this. Look at this face. What can be said about this level of narcissism here?
Even though the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot seemed uncertain from the beginning, Zegler's sudden removal sparked headlines and online speculation about whether the project would be scrapped or reworked yet again. Amid this turmoil, Zegler's own statements further fueled negative publicity. During the actors' strike, she voiced her belief that cast members should receive compensation every time a viewer streamed the film on Disney+. This suggestion was met with widespread criticism and accusations of entitlement, especially since Hollywood's standard practice has never included pay-per-click residuals to such an extent. While many acknowledge that the industry's compensation structures need reform, particularly as streaming platforms continue to reshape traditional business models, Zegler's remarks drew significant backlash.
In the greatest Disney box office bomb in the history of Disney live-action remakes, but certainly also the end of her career.
Zegler's stance was perceived as an overly literal or naive take on the issue of securing residuals. Additionally, her comments about having to wear the Snow White costume for up to 16 or 18 hours a day drew sharp criticism. Experienced actors and behind-the-scenes professionals pointed out that, while undeniably exhausting, such long hours are not unusual for major productions.
The bliss of total stupidity and narcissism. Look at the bliss. On some level, it's got to be a blessing to just be so smooth-brained.
This was especially true for roles requiring elaborate costumes or intricate hair and makeup designs. Rather than earning sympathy, her complaint struck some audiences as a sign that she might not fully grasp the industry's demands, despite her prior experience in major Hollywood productions. To make matters worse, Zegler's initial approach to defending the film was seen by some as dismissive of past adaptations of the Snow White legend.
This is what theaters look like across the world, and it just keeps getting worse. The memes.
Longtime fans of the 1937 Disney classic took issue with her praise of the new version as the best and most courageous portrayal of the character, viewing it as a direct slight to a film that serves as a cornerstone of Disney's legacy. Some also felt that her comments dismissed other retellings, including the Brothers Grimm's original folktale, the reimagining starring Kristen Stewart, and the comedic adaptation Mirror Mirror featuring Lily Collins.
Rachel Zegler watching Snow White in an empty theater. Rachel Zegler is watching her box office flop, Snow White, in an empty theater. The level of delusion should be studied, actually.
The overall impression was that Zegler had a narrow focus on her own performance, which only intensified the existing backlash surrounding the film. As these controversies grew, rumors began circulating that studios beyond Disney were reconsidering their interest in casting her for future projects. Reports suggested that Blumhouse Productions had removed her from a planned horror trilogy, while speculation arose that Warner Brothers had dropped her from a political thriller.
The look of people, like, does this actually look like a happy person? It's always in the eyes, man. It's always in the eyes. If you cover up the mouth and you look at just the eyes, no, you see evil, in fact.
She had been slated for a key supporting role in the film, but online speculation quickly painted her as being effectively pushed out of Hollywood. However, the reality was likely more complex. Hollywood deals often fall apart for various reasons, including budget adjustments and creative shifts. Still, when multiple projects unravel in rapid succession, it can damage an actor's reputation, fostering the perception that they are too controversial for studios to take a chance on.
YouTube unseats Disney, Nielsen's TV distributor rankings. YouTube hit a record of 11% of all TV viewing. Well. Disney is dying.
Commentators, particularly those active on social media and YouTube, began discussing Zegler within a broader context. They pointed out that other high-profile celebrities, from Robert De Niro to Alec Baldwin to George Clooney, had also faced controversy due to outspoken political views or abrasive remarks. Similarly, Julia Roberts and Meghan Markle were cited as examples of prominent figures who had polarized audiences.
And at this point, Americans have rejected it. So not only the critics also didn't really like it all that much. 42% as a critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 1.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
Wait, was that a 74% fan
score?
The question was whether Rachel Zegler, given her relative youth and shorter filmography, could endure the same level of backlash without long-term harm to her career. Meanwhile, Disney scrambled to salvage Snow White through damage control. Bob Iger, typically known for his sharp brand management, found himself in a difficult position. While the company had weathered many challenges in the past, this situation presented a unique test.
Now, if there's one thing to be gleaned from this, it's actually the sheer quality of the negative reviews. So let me read you some quotes. It says, "I paid nothing to watch the trailer, but I want my money."
Oh, that's nice. Nice job.
The initial wave of negative reactions to Snow White felt particularly sharp, as if it were the culmination of built-up frustrations over various Disney decisions. The studio's public statements insisted that the film would gain traction and that it had more depth than critics acknowledged. However, box office figures and social media sentiment appeared to tell a different story.
And funny, this is a joke I made years ago, but if they streamed it on an airplane, I would still walk out.
Yes, that's
An old joke.
That's theft.
Rachel Zegler attempted to promote the movie on social media, calling it the #1 film in the world. However, many online viewers challenged these claims, citing verifiable ticket sales data that painted a different picture. Additionally, the film's marketing campaign became a target of widespread criticism.
With Snow White, let's go through this, right? Oh, there's no prince. Woman doesn't need a prince.
Oh, Lord.
Really? Okay, good luck back then. It's just so stupid. Like, of course you do.
TV spots that aimed to showcase comedic moments or depict the dwarves in playful scenarios felt mismatched with the negativity surrounding the production. One particularly awkward advertisement featured Dopey declaring that people were rushing to theaters while the dwarfs humorously shuffled along. Internet commentators criticized these efforts as cringeworthy and out of touch, suggesting that Disney was desperately attempting to attract audiences in ways that ultimately fell flat.
He doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
Longtime Disney fans found the entire saga unsettling. The company, known for its carefully crafted, family-friendly image and polished approach to presenting its films, suddenly seemed vulnerable, even struggling. Snow White had come to symbolize broader challenges facing Disney, including questions about whether the studio was prioritizing social messaging over storytelling.
And then she came out and said that, what did she say? That she had no empathy for Trump voters.
Concerns grew over out-of-touch actors and the fear that beloved stories were being altered in ways that strayed from what made them cherished in the first place. Despite the controversy, Rachel Zegler remained steadfast, continuing to praise her work in the film and insisting that it offered a bold reinterpretation of a classic character. However, rather than easing the backlash, her unwavering stance at times seemed to intensify it.
What's crazy about this is Disney has been so careful and controlling for a long time as far as the narrative and protecting their brand.
Fans who had grown up with the original Snow White or appreciated other live-action adaptations felt that their nostalgia was being disregarded. By downplaying previous versions of the tale, Zegler unintentionally alienated those who had hoped. The new adaptation would honor its predecessors rather than replace or diminish them. One of the key takeaways from this controversy is how quickly fortunes can change in Hollywood. An actor can go from being a rising star to a scapegoat for a major production's failure. In Snow White's case, Disney had likely counted on Zegler's appeal, her youth, talent, and social media presence, to connect with a new generation of viewers. However, the combination of negative reviews and her own public statements ultimately turned her into an example of how easily an actor can be sidelined when a film underperforms.
And I get it, there's a difference between spoiling and whatever, but to go out and badmouth everybody and talk smack about, older movies in the same franchise, the canon story, I guess?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I feel like they would have had better control over that.
The Snow White controversy also highlights broader shifts in the entertainment industry. The rise of streaming has complicated the financial landscape, fueling debates over fair compensation for actors, writers, and other creators. Fan communities, more vocal than ever, now wield social media campaigns that can shape public perception almost instantly. Meanwhile, studios struggle to reimagine classic stories within modern cultural contexts, without losing the essence that made them beloved in the first place. When they fail to strike the right balance, audiences respond forcefully, sometimes through widespread boycotts or sharp online criticism. Critics who reviewed the film described it as both overly ambitious and poorly executed, as if the creative Team had attempted to modernize the story but ended up with a muddled result. They noted that the tension between preserving nostalgic elements and introducing new themes led to an inconsistent tone. Some scenes rigidly adhered to the traditional Disney formula, while others felt like underdeveloped attempts at social commentary, failing to merge into a cohesive narrative. Instead of successfully blending the old and the new, the film struggled to find its footing.
You can talk, you can say you work a job, whatever. You cannot talk about trade secrets and certainly not compromise our investigative journalists in the field. What, so no free speech? These people could get shot.
Snow White ultimately failed to satisfy both purists and those seeking a bold reimagining. From a business perspective, every major Disney release is expected to generate strong ticket sales, which in turn drive merchandise, theme park tie-ins, potential sequels, and further brand expansion. However, a weak box office opening and lukewarm word of mouth can disrupt this cycle, leaving executives scrambling to recover production and marketing costs. The challenge then becomes how to minimize financial and reputational damage. While some fans may give a flawed film a second chance through streaming, many follow the initial wave of reactions. If that response is overwhelmingly negative, reversing public perception becomes an uphill battle. Rachel Zegler's social media presence likely amplified the controversy. In today's industry, modern stars are expected to engage directly with fans, an expectation that older Hollywood icons never had to navigate.
I think this is their policies coming back to bite them. They went woke.
Yeah.
She went out and said stuff woke that was going to hurt the film. They couldn't come out and go against her because then you're going after somebody for saying what you say you believe.
The ability to speak candidly on platforms like Twitter or Instagram can be a double-edged sword. While fans appreciate authenticity, it also increases the likelihood of off-the-cuff remarks sparking controversy and further alienating audiences. If an actor is already perceived as dismissive or condescending, additional commentary may only reinforce that image rather than correct it. Compounding this effect are the numerous voices within the online commentary sphere: YouTube personalities, entertainment bloggers, and casual observers, who eagerly dissect every new development. Once a negative narrative takes hold, each subsequent statement or rumor can amplify it, often overshadowing any positive aspects of the film itself. In Snow White's case, the conversation shifted from genuine anticipation to widespread frustration, as attention veered away from the film's content toward the ways in which Disney and its lead actress responded to criticism. For Disney, this presents a significant dilemma. Reimagining classic films has long been a cornerstone of the company's strategy, but repeated underwhelming performances in this space could force a reassessment. While some past live-action adaptations have been well-received, others have underperformed or sparked controversy. The backlash surrounding Snow White may serve as a warning that audiences do not blindly accept modern reworkings, especially if they perceive them as lacking sincerity or passion. Bob Iger has navigated challenges before, overseeing Disney's acquisitions of Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm, which led to extraordinary financial success. However, this era presents new hurdles: increased competition in streaming, economic concerns affecting consumer spending, and social media's ability to amplify backlash at unprecedented speeds. Even a company as established as Disney can find itself on unstable ground when cultural controversies surround a major project. And Snow White became a prime example. Rachel Zegler's future in this shifting landscape remains uncertain. She previously garnered acclaim for her role in West Side Story, showcasing her vocal talent and screen presence. However, a series of rumored removals from projects, including Blumhouse's horror trilogy and a potential political thriller, Now, threaten to overshadow her early successes. Hollywood is known for offering second chances to actors who manage to reinvent themselves or deliver standout performances in later projects. Whether Zegler can do so may depend on how effectively she rebuilds relationships within the industry and reshapes her public image. Her steadfast stance on certain issues could either aid or hinder her career, depending on cultural shifts. Chetandi. Audiences come to see her as a strong advocate for fair compensation and diverse storytelling. She may cultivate a dedicated fan base. However, if she continues to be perceived as antagonistic or out of touch with the industry, she risks being labeled as entitled, a difficult reputation to shake. These overlapping issues, Disney's reputation, Bob Iger's leadership, the evolution of streaming revenue models, Rachel Zegler's career trajectory, and the challenge of modernizing beloved classics have all converged in the Snow White controversy, ensuring it won't be forgotten quickly. The situation stands as a cautionary tale about the risks of dramatically altering a cherished story or dismissing the passion of a loyal fan base, which can be either a film's greatest asset or its most vocal critic. This saga also highlights the delicate balance between free expression and strategic diplomacy, especially when hundreds of millions of dollars and the carefully cultivated image of one of the world's most recognizable entertainment brands are at stake. In the wake of this misfire, many viewers have turned back to older versions of Snow White, revisiting the 1937 animated classic, or exploring more faithful live-action adaptations rather than embracing this new iteration. As Disney reevaluates its approach to future adaptations, fans are left wondering whether the company will learn from this experience or continue pursuing reboots that fail to resonate with audiences. If Rachel Zegler manages to stage a successful comeback, it will demonstrate Hollywood's capacity for reinvention and redemption. However, if her career continues to falter, she may join the ranks of actors whose trajectories shifted dramatically due to public backlash. Regardless of the outcome, both Zegler's career and Disney's evolving strategy will be closely watched by those analyzing the entertainment industry's response to real-time fan feedback, social media scrutiny, and changing financial landscapes. For now, Snow White remains a notable misstep in Disney's history, one that sparked debates about creative liberties, respect for source material, working conditions, compensation models, and the complex relationship between corporations and individual performers. Even if the controversy fades in,